Gentlemen, we have returned from executive session, no actions taken.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I want to make a motion that you go in contract or negotiate a contract with the SPCA with our animal care. Charleston Animal Society, I'm sorry.
Second.
Give it a second. Second, okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, call, okay. Let's get out this, council thing. Just call the roll there,
Yeah.
Madam Clerk.
Ms. Jerome.
Aye.
Dr. Ganaway Paisley.
Yes.
Dr. Palmer Roberts.
Aye.
Mr. MD.
Aye.
Mr. Hudson.
Aye.
Mr. Skipper. Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mayor Burgess.
Okay. Let's call it August 21st, 2025 special city council meeting to order. Request to defer the minutes from August 14th, 2025 city council meeting. Move approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Okay, roll call. No, hold up. Roll call, okay, and
Ms. Jerome. Dr. Ganaway Paisley.
Aye.
Dr. Palmer Roberts. Mr. MD.
Aye.
Mr. Hudson.
Aye.
Mr. Skipper. Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mayor Burgess.
Okay. Introduction of bills and resolutions. 2025 comprehensive plan review.
And this is for the public hearing. If there's anybody here wishing to speak, you can come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hearing none? Any other business to come before the body? Hearing none, meeting adjourned.
I'm trying to take it over so quick, huh? I call the order public safety committee meeting for August the 21st. Need a motion for the minutes, July the 25th, the 24th. Move approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Next item is an ordinance to adopt a 5-year review of Prime North Charleston Comprehensive Plan and adopt resilience element part of the comprehensive plan. I know it's gonna be, Tim, anything you wanna add to that? Well, there's a motion on the floor. I need a motion. Motion is second.
Have anything specific to
Okay.
present, unless anybody has questions.
All right, motion is second. Any questions from council members? Please.
I know you were supposed, or someone was supposed to get with Councilwoman Brown with regards to the rezoning of Rivers Avenue as it relates to her district.
Yes, ma'am, I did have a conversation with her today concerning, her concerns, regarding that, the designation, the land use designation for her district and other, locations, and, we're continuing to have that discussion. Concrete change has been made to the actual.
I just know there was a concern about the potential displacement of some of those residents, or how those communities will be impacted for that potential rezoning.
Understood, and I want to clarify, it's not a rezoning.
Okay,
Alright, first, what Ms. Brown was discussing and is concerned about is the future land use designation
yes,
on the future land use map that's within the document. During discussions in the lead up to this draft, we did have conversations with her and we did address 2 locations within that, and we did make those changes from the mixed use designation to traditional neighborhood
Okay.
as she had requested. The other aspect of it is the change from 2008 to 2020. Our prior comprehensive plan had a more fine-grained future land use map that went parcel by parcel. Made it very difficult to do rezonings and other various things throughout the city. In 2020, we adopted a more comprehensive integrated plan that was covered a greater area and is more reflective of the actual uses that were in place in real time. So those mixed use areas, say north of 526 on Rivers Avenue, they're designated mixed use because it actually represents a mix of uses within that area. There are large box
Current,
commercial
Yeah,
with residential on the outskirts. South of there, those parcels get smaller that front along Rivers Avenue, and that is more representative of a traditional neighborhood development style. And that is where those land use designations come from, and it's more representative of reality on the ground.
okay, just wanted to make sure that those issues were addressed.
Yeah, Tim, do you have the opportunity to pull the map up?
We don't have a map available. Kelly, do we have one available?
Okay, and but I want you to, I want everybody to hear this, okay, cause you can explain it. Alright, let's take for instance, what this low country rapid transit system is
Yes.
trying to do, what is it basically trying to do?
It's designed to serve these underserved neighborhoods that are butting up to Rivers Avenue. Rivers Avenue was chosen as that corridor because we did not need to acquire additional right of way to implement this mass transit system that will provide a transit service for the people who are close to those areas and to that corridor. So it's trying to implement something that's a positive and provide a service in areas that have been underserved historically without the negative impact, say, of like the 526 widening. Don't need to acquire large swaths of land to install this service that is potentially game changing for the people who live there as well as the city overall.
Now, bus number 10 is that bus that you see going up all day long on Rivers Avenue. That's bus number 10. If you get on bus number 10, ride it sometime, see it. You stop at every stop. Hit the button, used to be a string, now you just touch it, right? When you ride bus number 10, it takes you all the way down to I think either John or Ann Street downtown. And then it loops right back around. But if you check up the census, the majority of people that ride bus number 10 from North Charleston and from the underlying areas in Charleston County from the obviously Charleston Southern area on down, they work downtown. They are hotel people, cooks, and maids, all types of people. So the people that ride on Rivers Avenue that gets on bus number 10, all the underserved people. Now, if you take a look at where I used to live at, it's called George LeGree Projects. Right there on Rivers Avenue, a little past Helms. It's called Horizon Village now. You take a look, what's that community to the right side of that called? Come on, people, help me. Whipper Barony. Okay. Whipper Barony, Horizon Village. Majority of people in Whipper Barony have always been Caucasians, right? So mixed, but it's always been more Caucasian. Horizon Village is more African American. If you take a look at how the study is green, because both communities are basically built for low country rapid transit system. So I just want you to understand, you have to really, really absorb this whole map to realize that it's really taking people who are underserved or people who actually don't have the access to get down there rapidly to work. That we need to get them to their job as quick and fast as we possibly can. That's why you have a certain amount of stops. You have less stops on the rapid transit system than you have on bus number 10. That's why we have to get that overpass built at Rivers and Durant. Because when you get to the overpass over the Amtrak station and you come up the overpass, you're hitting Durant. The old Piggly Wiggly used to be right there on your left. But guess what is in front of the bus number 10, and the rapid transit,
Train.
the railroad tracks. And when the railroad comes by, it blocks Rivers Avenue, it blocks Meeting Street, and if it's long enough, it will block Spruill Avenue as well. So that's why we have to get an overpass to get over there, fly over, so that we can keep going, so it can be rapid. So some of these things you have to take into consideration how they're building it, but they're building it so it can serve people who are underserved.
And the new land use, future land use map takes the station areas into account. That's where some of that mixed use designation comes in as well. And ultimately, zoning decisions are city council's responsibility.
Exactly.
If it's not appropriate for that neighborhood,
We
it's your choice to either rezone it or deny it. So there are multiple levels of protection built into that system. This is a policy document that helps us make better decisions, so that we can make better recommendations to city council so that you can make the appropriate decision for the people in your districts.
Thank you.
I have a question,
Yes.
and you pretty much answered it with the, dealing with the transportation, but equity is a central, concern in the city planning. And it's important that every neighborhood sees the benefit of our initiative. So, especially those who have been historically, underserved. And with that in mind, I have to ask the question that how will this plan ensure that all neighborhoods, especially those who have been underserved in those underserved areas, benefit from the city's planning initiative?
Well, specifically by incorporating, we've already cited this, the low country rapid transit, incorporating that into the plan to make sure that that is a successful initiative. If the bus is running up and down rivers and it's having to stop in traffic and it's not providing the service, it's not going to be serving the people who it was designed to help.
Is there any other benefits other than the?
Oh,
the
no,
transportation?
there are other benefits within the document. This is the 5-year review, we're checking in on that. We identify the livability and quality of life aspects. All of those are laid out within our action plan. And we've identified new aspects as well as our progress made on previously identified plans. So off the top of my head, I can't say specifically particular projects that would address equity directly. But this is the check-in from the 2020 plan, see how we're making progress, a couple of extra recommendations. In the future, in the next 5 years, we'll do a complete rewrite of the comprehensive plan. And as part of that, we can definitely incorporate more robust equity initiatives within that, per the direction of the city council as, and the city overall.
Thank you.
Okay, Ryan's gonna try to show you something on the map here.
Just what you were speaking of, sir, the Whipperberry neighborhood and Horizon Village help us out is here. And all of this on the future land use, proposed future land use map in the comprehensive plan is that green traditional neighborhood area here.
So when you have the green spot, explain to the folks from the green, green and red.
As Tim was saying, the traditional neighborhood, the green areas takes into account the current development on the grounds. It's more sensitive to the neighborhood since they are closer to the transit corridor. So it allows for a more sensitive transition from the housing to the commercial areas.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Any more questions from council? It's already been a motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? No speakers? Adjourn Public Safety Committee meeting.
All right, this time we'll call the Finance Committee meeting for April 21st, 2025 to order. The first item on the agenda is minutes from the July 24th, 2025 Finance Committee meeting. We have a motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 2, the minutes from the August 14th, 2025 special finance meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Item number 3, an ordinance certifying a portion of the former General Asbestos and Rubber Company, Garco Mill as a textile mill site pursuant
Working.
to the South Carolina Textiles Community Revitalization Act.
Let's move for approval.
Second. Motion is second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 4, a resolution approving the proposed fiscal year 25-26 Charleston Area Transportation Authority CARTA operating budget.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 5, a resolution accepting Crenham Lily and a portion of Cottage Landing Drive, Rimley Ridge Way, and Cloudfield Lane into the city system for maintenance in Council District 9.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I will go on record that, we continue to take these streets into the city. And the city ultimately, will have to provide the maintenance of those streets, the paving of those streets. We do get CTC funds from Dorchester County, which will help because all of these streets are in Dorchester County. But it's something that we need to keep on our radar as we continue to grow and as we continue to develop, because, that money isn't necessarily assigned to that. So maybe when Rob gets his briefing, maybe we can come up with something. Any other discussion on that item?
Just taking over where Mr. King left off.
Well, I did make sure I said that Dorchester County was paying their fair share, so. All those in favor, still by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 6, request to approve the proposal to purchase a new playground at the Persephone Moultrie Community Center.
Move for approval.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I got one.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, is that what we were talking about yesterday, or was that a different?
This is the one on the Oak Grove 10 mile, right?
Okay, 10 mile?
Yeah, this is, I think this is
That's separate.
Nefertiti's
It's in there for Tuesdays.
in her district. I think that's part of her 10.5.
That's where the funding is
That's
coming
her
from.
fund comes from.
This
Yeah,
is something
yeah,
different.
it's not,
Thank
it's
you.
coming from her fund.
Yeah,
Correct.
this is out of the, not out of our.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Oh, no, that's 401 you're talking.
Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 7, award for design build of the new Joint Operations Center to Robbins Construction and McMillan Pasden Smith Architects in an amount not to exceed $1.5 million.
Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion?
Just to make sure, and this is gonna be right next to our Athletic Center. Public Works, just make sure I was right.
Yes.
No,
Just-
That's what we do.
Oh, no.
So, the building that you're talking about is the police evidence building, you guys have already approved the funding for that.
yes, yes.
This is for
Where
the
the old
space that
evidence-
evidence is gonna vacate on the first floor of City
Yeah,
Hall.
So
downstairs.
joint center will be here.
Okay.
Yeah, we, we're doing the real time center, so we have to take everything out of the evidence.
And
Which is gonna be hard because some evidence in there date back to 1972,
Wow.
so we have to be very careful, very careful with that.
Okay.
and the funding for this was already
The sale of City Hall.
came from City Hall, it's already approved, but we broke it up in the building of the piece of property over there for the new evidence room, and then what we're doing downstairs with the Joint Operations Center.
And we broke it up into hardware and purchased hardware a little while back.
And all that came when with the whole camera thing, all that came all at one time.
Correct.
And the properties was your property, so we didn't have to buy the property, right?
That's right.
Yeah, we didn't know it was already there for us to use.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 8, request to approve the proposal for the modification and replacement of the pool boiler system at the Aquatic Center.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
One thing,
Oh, I got a question too.
go ahead, you go first since you're running.
Go ahead, yes, sir.
Yeah, this boiler, is it something that we have to take a look at, in the future, the life of the boiler? Because it's like a car, you have, life of your engine and your tires. So is that something we have to take in consideration in the
So
future?
currently, the problem that we're having is the pool water, the treated chlorinated pool water, touching the copper heat exchanger is causing the heat exchanger to rot. So we've replaced it, and this is the solution to mitigate having to replace those heat exchangers.
Thank you.
Well, and
Next item gonna be that.
well, my question was along the same lines, cause the aquatic center isn't that old, and to have an outlay to fix something that's, should be under warranty, but I guess because, that ain't the first pool that they built, so they didn't know that the copper went with the chlorinated water,
It's something that we fought the first round of them, cause this will be the fourth one that we've changed. So,
Wow.
Since it's been built?
yeah, and there's 3 boilers there. The other 3, we've worked with the manufacturer to get those replaced. And we're at the point now to where we're not fighting that fight anymore. We should fix the problem from what I would consider a design problem. So we've gone back to the design company. We don't have that problem currently at the new aquatic, or the sports complex. But that one was not the same knowledge base, we'll put it that way.
so I guess it was the first pool they built.
We learn from our mistakes.
It was the first one that we built like that.
I got you. I understand, I'm just giving you a hard time. But it really does beg the question. And if it's the 4th time, luckily we haven't paid the first 3 times, and now we're stuck with a bill, so anyway.
And our bill is to change the way that works, to separate the corrosive water from those boilers. So we're gonna be circulating chlorine through a heat exchanger that's separate from the boilers. It's basically like a big 55-gallon drum. The glycol flows through to provide heat to water. It separates it to mitigate our problem.
Alright, thank you, sir. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Item number 9, authorize the single source purchase of the South Carolina Opioid Recovery Fund public service announcement campaign for the city of North Charleston to the Post and Courier in the amount of $64,130.
Move for approval.
Second, for discussion.
Motion and a second.
So what is the campaign?
I have Ms. Shelby here to explain that.
So I do have, we do have a full proposal from Post and Courier. This includes digital, print, and billboards, some commercials online. We did look for bids and look for a variety of different sources, Live 5, Verde, Adams, Channel 4, and Post and Courier was the only one that could do all of it for one. So I can get the full proposal to you.
They got it.
They got you, okay. But they will track it. They will track the click-throughs on the ads. They are targeting specific neighborhoods that we've given. So looking through the proposal, I'm very confident that this is the most bang for our buck.
I have a question. I think you answered part of it, because I'm gonna ask how it's gonna be how would you evaluate the effectiveness of it, but how you also evaluate the overall impact to the audience.
I think that's a long-term question, because we are targeting those neighborhoods that are our high incidence neighborhoods. So you currently will see some billboards out already with that messaging on it. So the long-term impact is this an actual reduction in use?
Do you have any short-term plans to measure?
Yes, ma'am.
To
So
evaluate how it's gonna have an overall
that's
impact?
that can be done with, I think, with click-throughs. With people that are seeing the ads, you're at the bus stop on Rivers, which specific parts of Rivers are a high intensity zone for us. So certain spaces on Ashley Phosphate are high intensity areas for us. We can track if people are clicking through, and then what are they clicking through to, and how can we best serve them right then.
Anything else? Any other questions?
May I pass,
Yes,
I
yes, ma'am, you most certainly can.
I'm sorry. So this is Overdose Awareness Month. I won't see y'all at council next week. Next Wednesday is our overdose awareness event. I have postcard ads for it. I'd love to pass those around if that's appropriate. I hope to see all of you there. And if you have a story to share, there is a QR code to share that story on the postcard. This started as something that just North Charleston was doing. Then the sheriff said, hey, can we come? And then Charleston City said, hey, can we come? And so now it's turned into really a countywide event. And so I hope to see faces there. Children are welcome. It is something that is to honor, memorialize, and celebrate. Thank you. Sorry.
We also, like she stated, we've been involved with it's a group called Aquatic. And that is the group that federal judge Brucey Hendricks put together with Captain Hughes, who was a former captain here. He experienced that when the civilians died. So we've been involved with that, I think, since 2019-20. And it's very, very important. That's why I carry Narcan in my car. I give it to my kids, my wife, because you never know when you're gonna need to help somebody.
And there's a dispenser downstairs.
It's expensive, so grab one, you never know. You never know when you're gonna need it.
Anything else? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, send by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Item number 10, proposal award to conduct a market and feasibility study of future investments in the North Charleston Coliseum Convention and Performing Arts Center to Conventions, Sports and Leisure International LLC, Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the amount of $98,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? And I don't know, but Frank won't say anything about it, but what they're gonna do is, once they do the study, they're gonna come back with suggestions for us to improve the Coliseum Performing Arts, and they're gonna give us line by line items of, their recommendations, along with the pricing.
That is correct.
Yes,
And
sir.
then we'll bring that, of course, to y'all to approve and decide if we wanna go project by project, or if we wanna go out and get a big bond later and hopefully ask for Rob's blessing to get a big bond and do it all at once. But that's what they present to us. They're the professionals on that. Instead of us just going out and spending millions on how we think would be the best thing, they're the pros. We get to them, they send it to us, and then we get you guys' approval on that.
And this money is coming out of the Coliseum fund, so it's not coming out of the, just clarification, so. Any other
Scott,
questions?
do you have anything else to add?
And I mean, if you look at some of the venues that these people have improved, I mean, it's pretty good list, pretty impressive list of
One of the important
locations.
things to realize is they're not just looking at our stuff. They're gonna be looking at all the surrounding communities to see what they have to what we can do to compete with them as well. I mean, it's not just about making our stuff better, it's we need to compete, we need to be better, but what's the best value to get to that point to be competitive? So we can get the bigger shows.
So Willie's absolutely right. We were on the YouTube, well, not YouTube, Zoom with the Charlotte Hornets CEO. The Hornets are coming here and they're playing the NBA champions, OKC. The MVP is SGA. He will be in this place. Matter of fact, they've already they're bringing probably about 5,000, 6,000 of their season ticket holders here. When they get here in our city, heads in beds. We're buying our gas, our food, hotels, everything. We want everything to stay here. So when the young man told me that, he said, Mayor, you guys have a great facility because everything is a one-stop shop. You have Tanger over here, you have all these things. So he said, we'll be able to kind of tell you guys, and ASM, Scott, they've been telling us a while, how to increase the value of our facilities. Because the more you increase the value, the more people will come. We should have, anytime, we have the Stingrays. We had the Stingrays for many years. We've got to make sure we push the Stingrays. We should have banners all down West Montague that the Stingrays in town. We need to market our events. When we do it, then we don't have to worry about leaning on the taxpayers so much about the things that we need to do. We have deferred, maintenance budget now, but we still need to pump more money in that budget, and this would be able to do that, instead of leaning all on the taxpayers. So, I think it's a great idea to get this done.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 11, request to approve evaluation committee for affordable housing on city-owned surplus parcels.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, congratulations, Councilman Brown. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The next item on the agenda, our Finance Director, Rob Jarrett, is gonna give us our quarterly financial report.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, my guy.
I know this is the part you've all been waiting for. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be up here and just kind of want to go through this. And this is the kind of fun time of year because we're June 30th quarter, which is somewhat of an indication of how we will end up the year. These are not audited numbers yet. We won't get through all of that until somewhere around October. And these will change because there's still some adjusting entries that have to be made, but it should at least give us a little bit of an idea of where we're finishing up. And so with that, I'm gonna start with the graph. If you guys wanna look at that. I know some of you have seen this 100 times, some of you it may be the first or second time you've seen it. But just to kind of go through this, what this represents is some of our major revenue sources and how they compared against the budget. And I'm happy to say we actually had a really good, strong ending to the year. May, I was a little nervous about a couple of them, but we had a very, very strong, very strong June. So this will be able to finish the year. Or strong too. With that being said, I first want to look at the local option sales tax. That's the very first one. If you look, the budget there is 16 million or almost 17 million of 18 million, but that does not include the June payment. I actually got the notice about 3 o'clock today what the June payment was, and it came in at very high for local option sales tax at almost 1.7. So we're going to end up about $700,000 over budget on local option sales tax, and that's a good one because all of that goes to the general fund. So that's a strong one to finish well. The hospitality tax is next. Again, had a strong finish. I think that was one last time I was kind of thinking it could go either way. It was going to be close. We ended up about 300,000 over budget there. And again, that's a pretty good one to have, be over budget with, because 50% of that goes to the general fund. 50% of it goes to the debt service fund. The local accommodations tax is the next one. And strong finish. That's kind of the story here that we've got. We finished with 4.3 million in revenues. We had just over 4 budgeted. And again, that one, about 35% of that does go into the general fund. The rest goes to the CACVB, and then the portion of it gets transferred to the debt service fund as well. Actually, I'm sorry, that portion goes to the general fund and the debt service fund. The state accommodations tax is the next one. That's the only one we came up a little bit short on. We were about 50,000 short of budget. We still hit the budget at about 98.7%. And if there's any one of this that I could be short on, this would be the one because only 5% of that money goes into the general fund. The rest goes into debt service or goes to the CACVB with our arrangement with them. And the last one is business license, and this is the one that I sweat about all year because we always get the revenues very, very late. And a lot of these revenues, even going into June, I don't know what our final number is going to be. So a lot of these come in June and even the very, very first part of August. And so going into a month ago, I was sweating because I really thought we were going to come up a little short, but we had a very strong finish and we finished $1 million ahead in business license. So a great strong finish to help out with the year. So that's 4 of our major revenues. We can skip past the year-to-date numbers and all the little charts. So a lot of that is the detail behind what we just talked about. And we can go to the next handout, which is the budget report. And I'll spend a few minutes going over this report. First of all, again, we are going to finish the year with another good year. I know that for you, those of you that have Been a part of this year and, we've talked about, we applied some fund balance, so we kind of planned on spending down some of our fund balance this year, but I don't think that's gonna occur. So just going through this, I'm gonna look at some of the revenues real quick. First one on there is property taxes. We came in about 3.8 million over budget there. So that came in with a good strong finish there. The next one I'll look at, the second one is the license and permits. That one came in about 2 million over budget. And as I mentioned, 1 million of that was the business license. The other was we get a big franchise paycheck or franchise check at the end of each fiscal year, and it came in almost $1 million over what we had budgeted there. Going down, I'm just gonna hit some of these. The state shared revenues, if you look at the fourth column, is showing a deficit of $761,000. That's that local option sales tax that I just mentioned that was not included in this. So once that gets applied, then we're gonna be over in that budget by about $900,000 as well. Continuing to look down, interest and rents, again, that's another one that was about 3.4 million over budget. We do purposely budget interest conservatively, because that's something that can change, that's completely out of our control sometimes, and so we do budget that, and interest rates stayed pretty high throughout the year, so that helped us out there a lot. And then the other one I do want to point out is other financing sources. I want to point this one out because if you really look at it, it may stand out. If you look, there's zero budget for that, and there's a revenue of 1.79 million. It is under other financing sources, the third column over. So there's about a $1.7 million revenue source there, and there's no budget for that. So that might stand out, and I just want to explain what that is. Some of you have been around long enough to hear me talk about GASB 87 and GASB 96. It's a big headache for no reason whatsoever. But what it is we now have to operating leases. So if we sign like a 5-year lease that gets expensed every year, used to we would just expense it every year. Now that has to be capitalized. And then on the other side of it, we have to show a liability. So what this is, it becomes just an accounting interest. It's a non-cash entry. So it generates $1.7 million worth of revenue. If you go down into the expense side, there's a $1.7 million expense that is hidden in that special projects line item. So it's part of that. So it ultimately becomes a non-cash revenue, a non-cash expense. It's the same as that amount. It just washes out, but we have to do it for accounting purposes. So, and so I guess what I wanted to point out on this is also, if you look at, there's on the column 2 at the very where it says fund balance appropriation of 9.4 million. That was the mid-year budget adjustment that we did. And so that would normally be what we would take out of our fund balance to apply to revenues to help balance this. But because all those other revenues came in ahead of time, if you look at just the recurring revenues, they actually came in at about $10 million over the budget. So we ended up not really needing to apply any fund balance to meet the revenues at all. So that was a very strong finish that I was very glad to see. On the expenditure side of things, I'm not going to go through all of these. If you have questions, I'll be glad to answer it. I will show, we'll talk about the special projects, which is very close to the bottom because that one's showing that we're about 5.2 million ahead. What's built into that is a couple of things. One is when we do the budget, all of our pay for performance or all of our annual raise gets budgeted down there. And then with the expense will show up in the different departments. And so at year end, we'll bring you guys an adjusting budget. And we normally allocate some of that budget out to the departments. But we had, this year, not only do we have that, we had also did the Christmas bonuses. And so when we did that, we increased the budget and that also went down there with that pay for performance line item. But because of vacancies that we had throughout the year, pretty much all of that got covered under the regular revenue budget. So we may have to distribute out a little bit of that, but that's where a majority of that came from. In those two line items. So, and again, if you look at the very, very bottom, it's showing a net income right now of about $9 million projected. And again, that doesn't include the local option sales tax, that's about 10 million. However, I wanna, reiterate a couple of things. We're still early in the closing out process, so there could be some adjusting entries that could change that in either direction. The other thing I also wanna mention is that part of the problem, or not part of the problem, but part of the reason our expenses are so low is what will happen is we will budget for items that we put a PO out on them this year, but those items may not get delivered yet. And so what happens is those expenses will actually end up hitting next year. So we have to take, kind of the profits of this and reserve it toward next year's budget. And so I can tell you right now, this year we ordered 3 or 4 fire trucks, because we ordered, I think, 2 with the budget, and if we got somebody in fire in here, they can probably tell me exactly how many, and then we did the one mid-year, so I know we've got at least almost $4 million worth of fire trucks. So what's gonna happen is some of that 10 million is not gonna go into an assigned fund balance, which you guys hear me talk about a lot. It's gonna go into a reserve fund balance to cover those expenses that we have under contract. So, and I don't have those numbers yet. That'll come later on as we continue to close out the year. So, any questions? If not, I think I got the next item as well, but if you.
The 2025 Charleston County reassessment.
So guys, I'm gonna talk about this just a little bit. For those of you that aren't familiar with the reassessment, Charleston County is going through the 2025 reassessment this year, and so what I want to do is talk just a little bit about the reassessment, what it is, how it's going to affect us, and just kind of give you guys some details on it. So just looking at the first slide, this is kind of a long, lengthy definition that's a little confusing. So versus reading it for you, I'm just going to point out 3 little sections of this. First, if you look at the very first sentence, reassessment is the redistribution of real property values required to be performed every 5 years. The key there is it's required to be performed by state law every 5 years if we're in that year. The next part I want to look about on that is like the third sentence down where it talks about the rollback millage is calculated. And that's something that we're going to do with the city. As a city, we'll have to calculate a rollback millage rate, and I'm going to get into more detail on that in a little bit. And then the last part, the purpose of the rollback millage is to ensure that there's no windfall to the government with newly increased values. And so ultimately what it's designed to do, what that rollback calculation is designed to do is when the city goes through a reassessment, typically real property values go up. And they have this time from talking with the county. And so versus if the real property values go up and we don't edit or we don't change our millage rate, it would be a big income to us, but also be a tax burden to those constituents. And so the purpose of the rollback is so that we don't get a big excess amount of revenues and so the constituents don't get an excess of taxes. So that's just kind of the purpose of it. And if you want to go to the next slide. So just a quick overview of it in simple terms. Charleston County and the state, they go through and reassess all the properties. That has been done at this point, and they'll send notice out to the constituents, letting them know what the new property values are going to be. After that, they will provide us the information that we need to be able to provide to perform the rollback calculation. So they'll give us the reassessed values. We'll also get the normal annual assessments from Dorchester County and Berkeley County. We'll take all of that, we'll throw it into one big calculation to calculate this rollback millage. And then there's a few key dates. If I skip down to the very bottom, the mayor and I have to have this certified to the counties by September the 19th, which means there's gonna be a very quick turnaround that we're gonna present this information to you guys at a meeting on September the 11th. And it's gonna end up needing 2 readings, one on September 11th and one on the 18th. And I'll go over those dates again with you at the very end of this. So today I've got basically just three objectives. So it's gonna be a pretty short presentation here. One, I'm just gonna provide a basic education on a mill. Some of you guys have been talking mills for many years. Some of you, this may be brand new technology or terminology. So I'm just gonna hit the very basics there. I'm gonna provide a simple example of the rollback calculation. And the 2 key things I want to point out there is one is it's gonna be a sample in its simplest form. And it is an example because I don't have the real assessment numbers to be able to work with at this time. And then the next, we're gonna talk about the city's strategy for setting this final millage rate. And then we'll open it up for any questions you have. And I do want to point out there's no vote needed tonight. This is just informational only. We want to make sure you guys are all understanding what we're doing because when we do bring back that final final number, there's just not gonna be a lot of time to be able to discuss it. We're gonna have basically a week to get it through two readings. So let's look at the millage information first, just the definition of a mill. In its simplest form, definition of a mill is 1/1000th of a dollar. It's just that's it, it's a pretty simple definition. But what I wanna do is I wanna look at one, how the mill affects the taxpayer, and this is just for informational purposes, and also how a mill affects us. And so there is a calculation up there, and basically 1 mill, if you look at a residential primary residence, the assessed value or the assessment rate is 4%. So a 1 mill increase equals $4 per $100,000 of value on the house. So on a $300,000 house, that would be $12. And there is a small calculation there. So if you were to take the property value of a $300,000 house or the taxable value of a $300,000 house, if you do the 4% assessment, that's $12,000. If you do the 1 mill increase, which is 0.001, that's where you get your $12. And so that's the way it would affect, a 1 mill increase would affect the constituent. The way it affects the city is that becomes revenue. And in 2024, one mill was worth about $800,000 to our general fund. So that's kind of the net value to the general fund. It's worth a little bit more of that to us, but some of that goes into other funds. So that gives you a little basic information about a millage, about a mill. Next slide. So the rollback calculation, this is where the city comes in, and this is the actual formula. It's the prior year's taxes levied, adjusted for abatements and additions. Divide that by the adjusted total assessed value after reassessment, that equals your rollback. Now, in the next slide, I'm gonna show you, it's gonna be, again, I'm gonna provide you guys a visual of this in its simplest form possible. So we're not gonna do any of the adjustments for the abatements or the additions or any adjustments to the total assessed value. We're just gonna break this down really, really simple so you guys can just see the net effect on it. And so if you look at this is an example because I don't have real numbers. But if you look at let's just assume that in 2024, we took the assessed values of the city and that was $800 million. Our current millage rate is 95, so that is a real number there. But if you were to do that, that would generate about $76 million in taxes levied. So for this example, we're gonna assume that there was a 10% increase in property values. So by doing that, that means that $800 million worth of proper assessed value would go to $880 million assessed value. You divide that by the taxes levied from the prior year, and the rollback millage goes from 86.3 mills. Now, if you don't like numbers, you can ignore everything I just said, and that's fine. But there's the very last two lines on this is the most important thing that I can show you today. So if you walk away with nothing else, let's just look at these bottom two lines. And what that represents is in 2024, 95 mills would have equaled 76 million in taxes levied. In 2025, because of the increase in the assessed value, 86.3 mills still equals 76 million in taxes levied. And that's what our objective is. So if you look at the strategy, that's what we're doing, and this is what we're gonna bring back to you. We're gonna calculate this, and based on the data provided and the estimates within the calculation, the city's objective when we bring it back would be bring back a final millage rate calculated back to that rollback millage to avoid any additional tax burdens on constituents and to avoid any additional revenue to the city. We're just trying to keep what we originally had budgeted for the budget. Again, I've got a repeat of this slide just so I could go back and stress that if nothing else, just those last two lines is the one thing we need to take away, that at the end, we're just aiming for the exact same revenue that we had planned on before. And just looking at the time frame for this, I mentioned earlier, I am expecting to get the information from Charleston County. I'm hopeful to have all that by September the 3rd. I have reached out to them. They're telling me maybe the last week of August, but probably the first week of September. So I should be able to get the information from them by then. I'm hoping to have everything calculated by September the 8th. As it stands now, there is a finance committee meeting already scheduled for the 11th. So we're gonna add a special finance committee meeting before that council meeting. So we'll present this millage rate, the rollback millage rate at that finance committee meeting. And we're gonna ask you guys to vote on it right after that at the council meeting, and that'll get the first reading, or the first vote. The next week, we already have a finance committee meeting scheduled. So we're gonna add a special council meeting right after that finance committee meeting to do the second reading. And again, I'm sorry to add these meetings, but hopefully at least by doing them on the nights we're already here, that'll be helpful. But by doing that, we'll have both readings completed by September the 18th, and then the mayor and I will send a certification letter out on the 19th to counties. So, questions? It's a lot of information.
Very good, Rob, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Is there anything else to come before the finance committee? Hearing nothing, this meeting is adjourned.
All right, we have. Okay. Okay, we're gonna call for the committee to hold. I'd like to, ask to be a motion. For the minutes of May 15th, 2025, committee to hold meeting. For approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We extra duty solutions that will be brought to us by, North Charleston Police Lieutenant Terry, who will be presenting.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start just real quick and give you the problem, and then Lieutenant Terry is gonna go ahead and give you the solution. So we discovered, unfortunately, that we have a problem with our off-duty, concerning workers' compensation. And so what happened is, we had a few people that we had contracts where employers, like if a business wants to hire an off-duty officer, they sign a contract, and more or less part of that contract is it says they have workers' compensation. And we were getting a lot of kickback on that, and they were saying, hey, you know, we don't have workers' compensation. I mean, this is something that's gonna cost us a lot of money. And so I'll give you an example. There was one of the dealerships up on Rivers Avenue in the auto mile there, more or less was telling us that it's gonna cost over $20,000 to hire off-duty cops to work. And he's been a client of ours for probably 15 years. And so once we discovered that, we were finding that where it was crossed out and we just weren't following. We then got with the HR department, with risk management, and we found out that we are kind of doing this all wrong and backwards. So more or less what we decided to do was kind of look into it. Lieutenant Terry is gonna give you a group, Extra Duty Solutions, that we talked to try to solve this problem. But and Chris, I'll just turn it over to you.
No. Kind of what Extra Duty Solutions wanted everyone to see. So basically, I'm Lieutenant Terry. Nice to meet everyone. So all the off-duty, I'm in internal affairs. Part of my job is I handle all the off-duty contracts that come through the city of North Charleston for the police department side. Deputy Chief Gray back there is my counterpart for the fire department, so he does the same thing with the fire department. He'd actually spoken to Extra Duty Solutions prior to us discovering this issue, because they were looking to go to use them. In a nutshell, Extra Duty Solutions is basically an admin service that handles all the tracking of off-duty. If a business wants to hire a police officer, they go through off-duty. So they have an online portal, they can be called 24/7, 365, anytime. They have dedicated operators, it's not a call center. They have two dedicated operators and a manager that would oversee our off-duty. So they track everything, everything's tracked. Right now, currently, I use Microsoft Word document as our contract. If a business wants to hire an officer, they fill out the contract, agree to all the terms. Number 7 on one of those terms was the workman's comp coverage. And I got a lot of blowback from that from several. When we redid our new contract to bring us up to date with other agencies as far as our hourly rate recently, that's when this problem came to light. So Extra Duty Solutions, just put it mildly, it doesn't cost the city or the police department anything. The downside is we increased our rates before we do this problem happen. So right now, all the major departments around us and in South Carolina, the average is $58 to $64 an hour to hire an officer. So how Extra Duty collects their fee for operating, they design an app and a web portal just for us. They take a percentage of that hourly rate, that $60. We don't want to raise the price any higher for businesses or the citizens. So unfortunately, that would have to come from that hourly rate So the officers would bear that burden. So, and it works down to, so instead of $60 an hour, the contract, the way it's written now, then they revised it because we kind of had an issue. The officers would now make $53.57 an hour. But what they get with that is, it's an extremely professional company. We spoke and had presentations from 4 different companies. There's only 5 in the US that do this nationwide. The 5th that we didn't even talk to, I'd heard so many bad things that I didn't even speak to them. But the other 4, we vetted them. I spoke to my counterpart in the city of Charleston, Charleston County, Berkeley County, and they all use EDS, which is Extra Duty Solutions. And at the end of it, Extra Duty Solutions contract is far less, I don't know how you want to word it, but there's not so many rules with them. In other words, it's a month-to-month contract. Originally, they said it was a yearly contract, but they've now put it in the contract that it's month-to-month. So as long as we give them 30-day notice, if we don't want to use them. So there's no downside. The only downside is the fact that officers will not be making 60. So as of July 1st is when the officers started getting 60. So since then, they've been making that money. I've spoken to many officers, a lot of them that work off duty every day to supplement their income. A lot of officers have to do it to supplement their income. And they all understand. I'm sure there'll be some that'll get, be upset about it, but they were making 40 before July 1st an hour.
So they still got a $13.57 increase.
Yes, correct. Which is, 13 more than what they were making, before. So, and these other agencies that are around that 58 to 64, those officers aren't getting that amount either. They're getting that percentage because they hired on extra duty and added that percentage on top and then increased it. But since we increased it before we found out this problem, that's where that comes from. But I have a 3-minute video. I don't even know if y'all want to watch it or not, but it's Extra Duty Solutions video that quickly explains everything that they do.
Just real quick too, so the biggest thing of this is that our workers' compensation in the city does not cover the off-duty officers.
Right.
So if they got into an incident to where they were injured, our workers' compensation, what we're being told from our HR and our risk management, they're not covering. And so this is a huge liability on the city, because eventually the city would be responsible for it. The key with Extra Duty Solutions is that they pay for the workers' compensation up to like a $21 million policy. So they cover, that's why all these other jurisdictions have raced to this company to have them cover our off-duty officers, because our city doesn't cover them. So they do cover them, and that's the major benefit here. That's like the big thing.
So 3% of that fee goes to cover for that insurance. And I actually spoke to my counterpart, City of Charleston, Deputy Chief over there, that integrated them when he was a lieutenant with them. That was the main reason they went as well. I hadn't had a chance to talk to you since then, but and they've raved about it. So
What's our average hiring for in regards to off-duty officers? How often do we hire off-duty officers?
A lot. We have what we call long-term contracts, so companies,
Walmart.
Walmart, we've had that for decades. It's every day. So we have.
The Coliseum runs.
The Coliseum is obviously considered long-term, Walmart's considered long-term. We have 30 of those throughout the city.
You're at the theaters too, aren't you?
The theaters, hotels.
That's right along I did, was an officer was telling me all about how he was off.
About 3 hours of my workday, not just with internal affairs stuff, is literally every single day handling new off-duty business that comes in. It's on the phone, getting contracts signed, present them to the executive staff and the police department, make sure it's approval. None of that changes with Extra Duty Solutions. We control every aspect of this. There's a lot of misnomers and rumors that officers heard about Extra Duty Solutions. That's not true. So currently, right now, Charleston County Detention Center wants to hire us to work off, our officers to work off duty at Detention Center, making transports and things like that. That's how bad they're not hiring. We can't do it until we have Extra Duty Solutions, because Charleston County Detention Center will open that up within the app. So the officer will see it. Charleston County's looking for somebody to work transport for 4 hours today, and they can sign up right there on their app.
So is the system up now? So I've got, a neighborhood that pays for off-duty policemen to come and patrol the area.
Yes, sir.
Is it up now to where I can, where do they go to get connected with same as they did before, except now that
But they won't go through me, they'll go through Extreme Solutions
Straight
through
to
the
them.
app that'll be like on our Prime Watch page, we can put it on northcharleston.org. I mean, EDS does, they do Boston, Charlotte, they do a lot of different large bigger cities.
are we set up now or just?
No, it will take 60 to 90 days to get it fully implemented, so.
So what do these businesses and all do between now and then if we were to
Run
have?
it like we've been running it here.
So
Pray nobody gets.
So we're rolling the dice first. I got you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he'll let us know. He'll let us know once he get it. I mean.
Yeah, I've already started before we've even signed a contract, they said, look, just give us the information, we'll start building your platform so that when you're ready, it won't take that long.
Okay.
Terry would do it. I mean, there was a time we didn't have off duty.
Correct.
You know, I had a wife and a child, you know, living on $15,000. I knew what I was signing up for. It wasn't the money. It was what I wanted to do. But when other departments around me working off duty, the county, the city, Mount Pleasant, Goose Creek, hand in hand, and I'm working harder than them. You know, and Mayor Bowen did allow it until Mayor Conner came. And Mayor Conner allowed us in 1992 to start off duty. And it's really, really helped us tremendously to help to get our kids and our families in a better position. But it's also a good recruiting tool.
That's what I was gonna say, it's a huge
Great
draw.
recruiting tool. You know, we can bring people in here.
Certified officers.
Certified because they know that they're able to work off duty. But then the other thing too, citizens, it put more vehicles, more cars out there, more officers out there in a continuous way. Because if the officer's working at Walmart or Kmart or Sam's, he is subject or she is subject to listen to their radio. And they have to respond to any hot calls. So off duty is a great thing. I mean, both my kids got through college for that.
A lot of events can go off with no hitches, cause
Yep.
you know, Jenkins Orphanage does a lot of events out there that private entities hire them or use their property. And they all, part of their contract with them is they have to hire off duty. So
Mount Pleasant's with them too, aren't they?
It's all in here, but they have,
Well, I hadn't had chance.
yeah, like, I mean, they work with departments that handle NFL games, off duty, you know, NBA games. I mean, they're the pros of all the, if you just Google, there's only 5 in the nation that does it. And it's a heck of a racket if you think about it, but their service they provide is pretty good, so.
I think this is great. I accidentally used it.
Trying to hire us?
So our neighborhood, right, so our neighborhood, for Halloween, we have like literally thousands of people descend on our neighborhood. And
I'm in there.
yeah, right? Even the mayor comes dressed as a clown every
That's
year.
right.
And
Give me some candy. Trick or treat.
full-size candy bars and OTP. But yeah, but I inadvertently used this service because I just Googled how to hire a cop.
Right.
Because we wanted some traffic control type stuff. And I had some Charleston cops sign up for it and then ended up getting some North Charleston cops, but like,
Right.
I mean, it was so easy
Yep, it's
for
click and
me
point.
to use. I think we're gonna have a lot more of that. You
Yep.
know, you wanna hire a police officer to help direct traffic at your, you know, bar mitzvah.
And honestly, a lot of the big
Bring it
companies
in,
like
you know?
Elbit, Cummins Diesel and stuff,
Yeah.
when they'll call me, it's like, do y'all not use like EDS or Extra Easy Solution? It's so much easier. But we still approve every single contract. It's just, they're, like I said, it's an admin thing. It doesn't cost us anything. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Okay, we have staggered terms. That's with our legal director, Chris Neal. Kristen Neely.
Usually I had almost an hour presentation, but it's close to my bedtime. So I will just go over, I think Mr. Rohn asked us to talk about this last time we were together. And it seems like every election cycle we have this conversation. And so I wanted to just kind of give an overview of where we are, what it would look like, how it would work, and then open it up for you all to decide if this is something you're interested in, and if so, we'll move in that direction. And if not, we'll go to, I guess, Plan B. But our current ordinance, as all of you are aware, basically says that we have elections every 4 years, everybody's up for election. And we were founded in '72 when that option was one of them. Now the idea from the state legislature is they want to do staggered terms. And so you will see newer cities, if they are created or start, have those, but not many in this area are doing them. I think the city of Charleston may be the only one of size. Some of the smaller ones do it, and it's my understanding that they're able to do it without much of a hiccup because they're doing 2-year terms and they're smaller. And so although it's staggered, you're voting at large. And so everyone who goes to vote has someone on their ballot. Whereas when we do staggered terms, or if we do staggered terms, some districts will not have anyone on their ballots, and that I guess will create some issue for the citizens when they go to vote and not realize that their particular district isn't present. Obviously, when we do staggered terms or when staggered terms are done, the mayor is every election cycle. But the districts would be split almost in two, and you'd have District A and District B group, and those two groups would kind of rotate every 2 years. One of them will be up for an election. The benefits, from what I can tell, are simple. And it's the reason that we have this conversation often, is the continuity of service. Obviously, when you have a big upheaval, 10 districts are flipping, a new mayor, you bring in a new staff, and you're trying to keep a city operating. And so to be able to have the staggered terms, you will at least say, for the next 2 years, we know we have these folk in here, they will be present, and when the new group comes in, then they'll have 2 or I guess 4 more years to go ahead and keep the city running and functioning in a way without having to start all from ground zero. And so that's really the main benefit. That is the reason that I think that the conversation continues to occur. I think the cons are the issues that usually are the red lights that we see. And the biggest one, I talked to, I think it's Isaac from the Election Commission today. And what he pointed out was the whole voter, confusion. And the fact that you have people who say, I vote at every North Charleston election. I've done it all of my life. Well, all of the time that I was able to from voting age up, and now I can't. And they're expecting to go to the polls and vote. And so that will require us to really go out of our way to make sure we're informing the citizens of not only when it's their time to vote, but what district they're in so that they know where to go and what year they're on. The other thing that I think is really important is obviously we watch polls. You probably watch polls more than the average citizen when we have elections. And you know that when it's a general election, more people are out, the voter turnout is much higher. When it's the in-betweens, the primaries or whatnot, you don't see as much of, people coming out. And so one of the problems with staggered terms is those who are on that off cycle will have a much lower voter turnout. Maybe good, maybe bad, but that's something to consider. If the idea is we're trying to make sure everyone who is in the city, participates in this process, this will, by the numbers, not necessarily prevent that, but make it a little bit more difficult. The other thing that I think is important is we didn't have to pay for these extra elections. Obviously, right now, we're paying for the election every 4 years, and we kind of piggyback on what the counties are doing and what the general election is. And so the expenses are not necessarily shared, but I'm sure they're lower than what they will be when we're actually having a standalone election. I think we just did the special election, and that was about 40,000. And so that may give you some idea. Those were 2 districts that we were addressing, and this obviously would be half of the city at any given time. And so the amount would be a little bit different. The procedure would be simple. If this is something you all are interested in, we'd look at it. There's some question as to whether or not a referendum is necessary. I think that the Attorney General's opinions that address this don't require it because it's not a change in the form of government. It's merely a change in when people are elected, and we're setting those dates. But we need to verify that if that's something that you all are interested in. But what would happen is we pass an ordinance and or referendum depending on the path that we go down. And after that, you would have everyone up for election in 28. with that, half of them, well, let's go back. So before we have the election, if we get this approved and wanna go forward, we'd have a coin toss. And the reason that the coin toss is important is it has to be impartial. And so the mayor who will be on every ballot would be the one flipping the coin. We'd have district groups, District A groups, District B groups, heads, tails, whichever wins, the heads that comes up, whichever is selected would be the group that draws the short straw. And they would basically have the 28 election for 2 years and then would have to be elected again. I am not a numbers guy like Rob, and so I had to actually write it down to make it make sense. Yeah, it works for me too. But basically, what happens is.
Oh, I got my sign.
She's being selfish.
No, I just said motion to deny.
So when you're looking at staggered terms, obviously, you'll see on here, the mayor is elected in each of the years. But the next election would be in 2028. Well, in 2028, everyone's elected. Well, I say everyone's elected, the races for everyone's district is open. Those people who are elected in District A's group would have a 2-year term. And so in 2028, they would be elected in 2030, they're up for election again. And then they would have 4-year terms after that. And that's the same for, the 4-year terms is the same for District B and the mayor. They never have that 2-year term. So if you're elected in 2028 and you're in the group that didn't win the coin toss, you have a full 4 years. That I think is what creates a little imbalance because you can't select what group you're in, it's purely by chance. And I think that makes it a little bit difficult for you all because whoever is on the, not to say the losing end, but on the 2-year term would basically be up for election again in 2 years.
And then if they win and they're back on a District A or B and the coin gets tossed again.
It's never
Oh,
just one time.
Just one
Yeah,
time through the.
just one time, because that's what sets the 2 years off. That's what, that's what creates the staggered terms. And so after we've gone through that 2-year cycle, with that one group, everybody is 4 years. The only thing that I think is interesting is if you're in the cycle with the first 2 years, you will never be in the general cycle. And so you will always have those off election year cycles. But that I think is pretty much an overview of what it is, how it would look if we did it. Obviously, if this is something y'all wanna do, we'll prepare it and probably bring in someone from the commission to make sure you all understand what we're doing in the grand scheme of things. Any questions?
So we don't, our elections now aren't with the presidential election, right? So it's off, and it's off with the governor as well, correct?
I don't know, but when I say.
I think it is, but I mean, is there a way if we were to institute it to where none of them would fall same on a presidential election, whether you're the 2-year guy or the 4-year guy? Right?
We could, I mean, we can set our dates.
To where that way, because it would be unfair to a person running in the off cycle, or it'd be unfair really to a person in the presidential cycle, because more people could come out to vote.
Right.
Whereas in an off cycle, you've got, a much smaller turnout, so potentially you could get elected with much less.
That's true. Yeah, but I don't want us just to focus on the president's election. I want you to focus on your mayor's election. Obviously, when the mayor runs.
But right now, though, we're not running against him. What I'm saying.
No, but your turnout's higher. The turnout with the mayor in the election is gonna raise your numbers.
But he's gonna run every.
4 years.
After that first time, it doesn't matter.
But if you're in Group A, he's never gonna be on yours.
That's correct, he's never gonna be on yours.
Right, he's gonna be 2 years or in his term when you run again.
Could we stagger it so it is on like a state level?
We can look at the dates.
Do a 3-year term for the first one, and
Yeah,
then
I think
you're
the-
staggered on to governor or something that's gonna get that better
I
turnout?
think the state statute says you can't exceed 4. And so, I mean, if the idea is you wanna do it.
It's something we need to proceed with, that's for sure.
Yes.
So The reason I brought it up is because with this last election, we almost completely overturned mayor and council. And that's a very scary situation.
I think we gotta do it.
So the three of us are the only ones that really know what's been going on for the last 12+ years. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Y'all have to put the staggers in y'all position, cause
But
if not, it's gonna.
it doesn't
you'll have
really
to go
matter,
right.
Nefertiti.
Okay.
It doesn't, I mean, would you want to be elected and come in and have 10 new council members and a new mayor? And nobody know anything?
I'm not the person, I would, just based on the last
It's scary.
administration, yeah.
But it may not be like the last administration. You never know. That's the thing.
But most of us, we came in because they retired, right? We didn't run against any, you know what I'm saying, so it wasn't because we've outvoted or outran or out won more votes than people who were in our seats before, it's because those people retired.
But you just lose that
So it was gonna happen
confidence.
anyway with a
Essentially, you
staggered
lose
election or
everything.
not. Right, so it was gonna be a new group of people coming, cause we had what, 4 people retired? And they retired, they didn't run again.
Right.
So this really, I mean, in a sense, it doesn't apply to this current administration because this current administration, like, it was replaced based on circumstances.
Only
4. 4, but then, you know, the other stuff too. Who say that won't happen?
Everybody got their points, everybody got their points, they can do it.
Yeah, I know this was this discussion. Somehow you're gonna need consensus of the council. When will we do this for consensus?
Tonight, and what I need tonight is not a yes, we're gonna do it, it's a yes, let's proceed and figure out if this is something we wanna do, and then I'll present an actual package to you all.
Let's proceed.
One more question,
Yes, sir.
right? If we find out that you have to pass an ordinance to do it, right? If that were the case, if we were to somehow have another special election, can we put that ordinance on that special election?
You mean referendum?
Referendum or whatever to, if we had to get it.
I can get an answer to you for that, I don't know.
Is the referendum gonna have that really high bar?
Special election is only
I don't think
for
it's
district,
Whatever, potentially.
well, it won't be for District 10.
Right. It won't be for 9 either, so. Was that a payback for getting you early? Was that a payback for getting you early?
Thank you, man, thank you.
It's a weighted coin there.
You're right, so it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. I couldn't do it.
Alright, so we owe you an answer tonight?
Well, it sounds like that
It's whether to move
we're at least ready to have
We
the
have to do what he
conversation.
said,
And so,
we gotta do something, we can't,
but
we
what I'll
gotta
do is,
something.
I'll
Yeah.
get an agenda item together, for you all to.
Yes.
Just discussion.
Chris. Kevin Paul.
Yes, so thank you, sir. So the other thing was, if you remember last time we were together, there was a conversation about whether or not we wanted to address travel, and I think the other word was governance.
Yeah, city council government.
Yes, and so what I asked you all to do is to take the week to think about what type of things y'all want. Obviously, like I said before, we can draft whatever. What I think is interesting is only 2 things you all, I think authority-wise, could do as far as sanctions, because that's, I mean, it's like anytime you have a rule, it doesn't matter.
Run.
The only thing that I will point out is that when we're talking about the rules, it's always about well, what's the punishment? What's the consequence? And so what I think the consequences or the options would be were to I guess a censure of some sort. Basically, as a group, you all would have a small hearing, determine whether or not there is some violation, and if so, you can decide to censure that particular person. If they're chairing in any particular committee, I think another responsibility or I guess another way of holding them accountable is to remove some type of chairmanship from him or her. You don't have the authority to remove anybody from their position. Those seats are given to them by the citizens and they will continue to hold them until they are replaced. But I think those are things that other cities and municipalities have done and obviously are within your purview. I would also suggest that if the idea is, as far as governance, if the idea is for us to come up with rules and things to make them broad in general. I don't think you want specifics to the point where it's difficult to do your job. I think it should be more big picture things. And I know there's probably conversation about whether or not that's necessary. That's not for me. I'm happy to address whatever it is that you guys want to present. Yes, sir.
Speaking of that, I was looking over what was presented to us, and maybe Rob can help me with this. Once we go and come back, it's closing out our previous travel. I didn't see any of that dealing with the instruction that they gave us. So maybe that is something that we would like to get in there.
Well, and our current ordinance addresses that. And what it says is that, I'm not sure about the travel policy, because that's different that's different from what applies to you all. But in section, I think 226, it's late in the day, but maybe B.
10 days, we have 10 days to
Right,
settle,
to
to
submit
present our
your-
receipts. But there's nothing in the policy as it relates to attendance. That's what you're talking about?
Now, I
Travel
was looking
wise?
at what was sent to us. Did I miss something?
The travel policy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did I
that's
miss
what's
it?
currely.
And that's for
Currently.
all,
Yes.
That's all
city employees.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, that's for everybody.
Yeah.
It's always been that way. I think, in my opinion, and I'm only making an opinion, you could even go back to, in college and stuff, things of that nature. If you were taking a course first semester, you need the books and things for that. If you take that course and you pass it, well, I don't think you're gonna sign up for the same course the second semester. So the reason why I say is this, I think that what we need to do is give the Clerk of Council the backing to keep a log of training and travel. Training is more important. And the reason why I say that, if I'm taking municipal government entry level, like you told me to do,
Right.
then I should not go back and take it again and again and again. It should be something that you see, or you're given the opportunity, so okay, if you already had municipal one, next one is two. But then even if I'm trying to vie to go to that, the second one, and somebody else is, then it's the person who actually submits first, or the person who has, who's the most senior person to go through things. I think that we can kind of work it out and put it to paper and be held, hold it accountable. But I think the Clerk of Council should be the person that will be able to keep and monitor it. She's not going to actually hail somebody to help them, or hate on somebody because they don't like them. She just calling it like it is, and she giving it out to all of us to say, you've been to this training, all this style of training, and now it's somebody else's turn, and then moving on and moving on. I just think that we can actually come to an agreement to make it work for the whole, based on what the municipal association is giving from the schedule of classes. I just think so.
So then, Mayor, would it be appropriate that if she had the authority to kind of authorize that training? I believe it's the finance committee, the chair is the one who authorizes.
I looked through this,
And
Kitty,
she-
I could not
I
find
couldn't
anywhere.
find it. I didn't hear that
where-
until last week when.
Yeah, I don't think she has to authorize it.
Authorize.
I think, you said you didn't know you had that authority. So in
It's not
that,
in
Tell everybody
here.
no.
it's not in that, that's the travel policy
Yeah.
for the city. But if you look
Just
back
jumping off
into
what
our
you
code
said,
of
yeah.
ordinance.
I think it ties together.
So
Yeah,
he
this
has
side,
to
this
approve it
side.
for every city employee?
No, he approves councils, and what he's approving, and I can read it to you, but I won't belabor it. What it says is he accepts the forms, and he's accepting settlement forms, and so I interpret the idea that you're accepting settlement forms to mean you are accepting the forms that allow for the initial part. But what I would envision, if asked how I think it should work, Courtney sends out the travel options, you all respond. She then looks at them and says, okay, well, these persons are signed up. Mr. Chairman, this is what we have. Do you have any objections with these? If there are none, then we've finished whatever that process is with finance to get those documents taken care of. After that, when you return, those settlement forms go back to Courtney. Courtney shows them to you. Everything's fine, they can funnel back through finance to make sure all the funds are taken care of.
And that includes exceptions, I assume.
Like exceptions.
Exceptions for like, let's say, if there's something going on maybe after the fact, that they would still go through that. See what I'm saying? So like, say for example, there's a training that I wanna go to that goes in, let's say, 4 months, but the requirement was to have that submitted 6 months. If I still wanna go to that training, or just ask if it's even available, is there seats available? The process, I understand, goes through, we're still requesting it to the finance chair committee. So what I'm saying is the system that's currently in place right now, right? There should be like a deadline for training. If you don't meet that deadline, then you shouldn't go. That's gotta be governed by somebody, right? So the process seems to start with Courtney. Alright, and that's what I'm just trying to understand.
So my only issue is, if your district, we have 10 different districts. Who are, okay, and this is with both the governing and also travel. So I'm trying to understand how is this being used as a control mechanism? Cause how can a council person have, another council person of another district have the authority to tell me if I could be on a committee in my own area? I'm elected by the public, not by them, so I'm not elected by them. Our votes and our mindset might be different on our standpoint because we in different areas, different issues. Some people might not even worry about their district, they might focus on specific people. So this can be used as a tool to not only discriminate, but also like basically, what is it, when you use like something to control another person. So in a sense, it could be, it's not, okay, I wrote it down. I just feel like these are tools or services. So if I need to go to the municipal association and I feel that it'll help my area, how can it be denied if it can't? You get where I come from?
I think we're talking about, we're merging things, but if we're talking about the
I'm talking about travel too.
So-
I'm talking
so-
about everything because it kind of falls into place because we given the power to travel, a yes or no, to an entity too, right? To a different entity other than.
No, I think that's a budget item. And so what the finance chair is to be, you all approve the budget for travel. And all the finance chair is doing what, basically what a department head would do. If one of my lawyers said, hey, Chris, I wanna go on this trip, can I go? I have to look at my budget and to make sure the funds are there to do it. And so Courtney would gather the paperwork, he would sit and say, okay, well, it looks like the funds are here, this seems to be beneficial, paperwork is in order, and the trip would be approved.
So my question is, what started this? So what is the backstory on?
It's no backstory.
No, that's why I mean on the governing and the travel, so I need to know what triggered. But that's a justified question, what triggered it?
But it is some of the council people who go to the training. I've been to 2 trainings since I've been the mayor. I don't have the time like I like to. They go to the training. They're thinking that we need to, just like we have experienced.
Right.
And on what like this year here, that situation where we had an indictment.
Correct.
We had to indictment. See, we can talk about, I've been here since Mayor Bourne. I've seen a lot of bad things, a lot of good things. But the thing about, I don't want it on our watch. I think we need to clean our stuff up. So some of the council folks said, well, when it comes to training, let's make sure that it's also fair. And if we're going, make sure we go. You know, I think that we just need to talk in here. We need to talk in here. If that's the case, let's talk about it. So they told me that, so we said, okay, let's get together as a group, as the people elected us, so that we won't go someplace and we're not representing what we're supposed to represent, which is the fine line of the education portion. That's why I said let Courtney be involved, so she will know exactly what class is coming up, what you've already taken. I don't wanna go back to Algebra 1. I don't wanna go back to Algebra 2 when I'm already past that. What I want is Algebra 3.
But she
4,
already
5.
does that.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we know. We have to get it, so we all say, Courtney.
That's what she does already though.
No,
'Cause we can make it clear
but
that
no,
that's what she
no,
does already.
You know why?
That's what she does already.
Because when Courtney has situations,
Right,
between Monday and Friday,
right,
during the day, Courtney and I are talking,
right.
you know, because I'm working here full time with her. When Courtney comes to me and she says, well, I have this class, I can't get this person in, or if it's too late, what we do, we work it out. But what's causing the problem is that this is being repetitive. So we need to scale it and make sure it's done fair all the time.
Okay.
All the time. We're talking about text, taxpayer money.
Here's
at
what,
that number.
That's what we
yes,
talking
if you guys look at our sheet, you can probably see city council budget and how we're over right now. I think when you first schedule it, you usually try to get in good rates when you do it early on. And then when we're late, it hurts us quite a bit. But if you
Hotels, all the stuff
Look
goes
at your sheets, you can see right now, we're quite a bit over what we started out on.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're trying to do as much as possible.
My position on it is that as elected officials, we all should be expected to be held to the higher standards.
I agree.
Right? We are traveling and we appreciate the taxpayers for allowing and supporting us to be educated and trained so that we can bring tools and resources back to our city. But at the same time, as elected officials, we must do it with integrity, accountability, and professionalism. And so for me, what we have right now is very loose. And I think that we need to put something in place, as the mayor just stated. We are already sitting on indictments of previous council members. So we talk about integrity, we talk about transparency, we talk about accountability. The people elected us for that. And so we need to have something in place so that we're ensuring the people that we're doing the right thing. And in saying that, that's why I was one of the people who suggested that we review the policy as it stands, because it's very loose for elected officials. And that when we're traveling, we're responding to Courtney timely so that she does not have to
So this is
register
trick,
us
cause this is
at
this is a
late-
little
Let
bit.
her finish, let her
I know, but
finish.
it's just funny because,
Let her finish,
okay,
let her finish.
alright,
Go ahead.
it's okay,
Go
but
ahead, go
see,
ahead.
they
Go ahead.
indirect and I'm
You
direct.
can speak, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay.
And so
They
for
indirect,
me,
I direct.
it's about us being responsible for late fees. It's about us make sure we have approval to travel. It's about expectations and budget accountability. That's all I'm trying to do. And that stands for all of us that's sitting here. I'm an educator. I love to be educated, which is why I have a doctoral degree. So education for me is key. And we can grow if we're educated, but we also have to be responsible for the people and the taxpayers' money.
I feel like this is more of a control thing, only because I feel it's triggered based on a travel issue that I'm currently going through right now. And that's just personally, it's just because this is coinciding with the same timing of the travel issue that I went through, where I wanted to go to a conference in Salt Lake City, but I could not commit in April because I didn't have anybody watch my children. So I was able to do that, but I've been getting a runaround consistently by Courtney. Now, this is a public council issue. So it was just something that I feel like I still haven't got a response as to if I can go or not. I still haven't got a response, and it was because I was delayed in Rich. I said I would have paid the late fee of $200. I said I would have paid it, but it just was a pushback until this came into council. So I feel that these issues are, and this is my opinion, and y'all don't have to agree with my opinion, but this is my opinion, I'm standing on it. I feel that this is triggered, and it also it's an issue because as for me, I got so much going on in District 6, I don't care what you're doing in your district. I don't care what you're doing in your district, cause I got work to do in my district, so I'm not watching y'all district with a magnifying glass, cause I'm so occupied and busy with my constituents and my citizens that I can't sit and be governing what you doing in 6. That's not my place. And it also takes the power away from the council members who were voted in here elected by the constituents. Also, when it comes to this, it all goes into one. Because also when it comes to the travel, the system that we had, we never even put in place. If the system already been go to the finance chair and go through the process, we never went through that process. The process has always been, we let Courtney know when we going, or if we don't go. We haven't even tried the process that we had in place to sit there and create another process to see if that one's gonna work.
Let me just put this in there. You are not the only person. Councilman Mike Brown, 7, that's the first one I followed about. He wanted to go on that same training, but because we thought that he owed money from another training, he's thinking he could go. Well, Courtney had to find out that his bill that he owed to the taxpayers was paid. So what I'm saying is, when you say you only want, no, you're not.
No, he signed up on time.
No, but I'm saying.
I didn't sign up on time.
Yeah, when he just
And I
signed
admit
up.
to not signing up on
Sign
time.
up, he can
But
be
he
done.
signed up on time,
I'm
so
saying,
that
you're
was a
not the
clerical issue, not a his
What we need to
issue.
do is get everything together, be more organized and be
Right.
accountable. And most importantly, we're not going down. I refuse to let this council and this mayor look any other way other than what the people would like us to look. So we have to fix things and build processes and build systems. We will do what we have to do.
We haven't
Because
never
that's what we
gone
have
with
to-
the system we
You're right,
have.
we don't have it, no, the system we
The
have
system we
is
have,
broken.
but the system we
Broken.
have,
And
we
we'll fix
never
it.
follow
We'll fix
protocol from what he said,
That's
the
exactly
system.
right.
And
That's why
Mr.
we
Ray,
gonna do
and no disrespect to you,
Yes.
but the system that we had, the lawyer just sat there and said, what did you say? It had to go through the finance chair. You said what? I didn't even know I had that power.
He never knew
So
that.
if
He
we,
never
if
knew.
it's an ordinance that we haven't been implementing and it's already set in stone, why don't we try what we have implemented and go through that process versus create another process?
That's exactly what I'm saying. We're gonna actually create the system, and the system's gonna be a whole lot better, and nobody will have an issue with it, because you know up front if you wanna go or not.
I just don't wanna set this up for this to be the situation where they're singling people out for rules. At the end of the day, a rule is for
It
everybody.
applies for me too, Nefertiti.
Okay.
It applies for me too. It applies to everybody.
Right.
So if I have my information, I send it to Courtney Lake, guess what? I'm not going.
Right, well,
I'm not going. Go ahead.
that's
I
easier
just-
said than done, but that's like, why give the runaround? If the answer's no, the answer's no.
We're gonna fix it. We'll fix it right now. I can guarantee that. Go ahead.
I just wanna reassure every person on council, this is not a personal attack. As a chief operating officer that runs a multi-million-dollar company, I am a compliance person. I write policies every day, all day. The city attorney can tell you that since I was elected last year, have I not been speaking to you about governance and accountability for council members?
We've been dealing with it for
Some time. So this is not personal, it has nothing to do with what's happening right now. This is something that I have been conversating with him about for a while. Because I reviewed our policies, I reviewed our ordinances, and a lot of things are loose. And we're not gonna get into why they were written the way they were written, but this is a new day and a new time. And I, for one, just feel like we need to be more proactive and in due diligence better than being reactive. And we've been reactive in a lot of things here.
Well said.
So it's not personal, it's just professional compliance.
And we'll get it right. We'll get it right. I mean, this what a family does.
Timing.
A family has to go through things internal to make sure that we fix the family. And this is the place that we do it, and then once we get it done, there'll be no more exceptions and no more complaints. And if it ain't any complaints, then if we have to finance director, it's all on you, Donald.
Well, if it's any complaints, we should come back in front of the board just like y'all did with this
We'll have
idea,
it
right?
right.
And we can make changes, cause that's the process, right? The process is, if I have a issue, like if this goes into place and I don't agree with it, just like this is going on, I could go to him and talk to him and it comes back in front of the board. That's the due process of council, right?
No, we'll get it right. We'll get it right. We know what we need to do. Anybody else got anything? Any other business to come before the body? Deal is,
So that was an agreement that we're gonna move forward with this, or?
yeah, we'll,
Yes.
Yeah, I'll
Christian,
draft
he'll
something.
draft it up.
Other than that,
You don't want me to bring up this?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So I talked to Desiree with the Municipal Association, and she is willing to come in and train not only the new council members, but even us old timers, cause we can still learn too. I pointed at you. But what she asked was to come up with a time and a day that would work for everybody, so she doesn't just have, a handful of us show up. She would like us all there. And she will go over the duties and responsibilities of the mayor, of council, what you can do, what you can't do. And she said she would cover everything. And she lives here in North Charleston, so she's willing to do it. We just have to give her a day and a time.
What's the block of time? What's the block of time she needs?
She just said, just give her a date.
Does she need a half a day or a full day? I mean,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah, I would say probably
I think
Half a
maybe
day.
4 hours.
Can we do like we did before, like before council,
4
and then
hours?
we
Yeah,
broke
Thursday
we
would be
broke for
best.
like something to eat and then come
Thursday
back?
the best. Anybody have any issues, they could let us know.
So you would wanna start at like 3 p.m.
They need to start at like 1 and go to 1 to 5 and then take a break and then go come back at
And then
7.
come back.
Yeah, maybe do it that way.
Lunch.
Fried pork chop, fried pork chop.
So Courtney, can you
What's your
give her that?
strategy,
Is there a way that she can do it on the weekend, cause some of us do work. and
Yeah,
have
she said she would come in.
responsibility, on my job.
She said she would come in on a weekend if everybody would come. She's just wanting everybody and not just a handful.
Yeah, through the week would definitely not work for me.
So maybe a Saturday.
Yeah,
How does a Saturday sound for the rest
put
of
the
you?
time in for me, Courtney, and I'll make the times.
Weekend,
It's great.
weekend?
Stephanie says Saturday. I don't have a
Man,
problem with a
Okay
Saturday.
with a Saturday.
I mean, I would prefer during the week.
Wait.
I'm good with Saturday if I ain't somewhere else.
Somebody's gonna babysit.
Bring her with you.
How about you,
Courtney babysit.
That's it.
how about you,
Yeah, I'm okay on Saturdays.
Saturday?
Yeah, I can do whatever,
You
whatever's
good
good
on
for the group.
Saturday?
How about you,
Yeah, I'll be-
Council,
On
Councilwoman?
Saturday?
I spend time with my kids every Wednesday.
Okay.
So, but I'll roll with, I'll be
So
accommodating.
Brandon and Nefertiti said they can't. They don't wanna do Saturdays.
I
No,
will,
I can do it.
I will be accommodating to.
I'll do
Oh,
it.
MD and
Be happy about it.
Paisley City, they can only
Yeah,
do
so
Saturday.
Nefertiti's the only
No, I
one
can
that
do
can't
any-
do a
I
Saturday.
And the Saturday, okay.
Mayor, I can
So
do
let me ask you a question, go ahead.
any day.
Okay,
Like
okay,
the time.
can some of it be done on Zooms? If, can you come up on the Zoom?
Zoom would probably work,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Probably do the
So
Zoom.
can we do that? We can have
For
the
the ones that
core
can't show up.
on that Thursday and then ask, the doctor to
We do a
come
lot
up
of
on it.
assessments during the day, and I just need to be present.
I understand, yeah, I understand, yeah.
You just won't get lunch.
I can afford to go without lunch.
Yeah, so that would work during the
Okay.
week and then Zoom those that can't be.
Yeah, so
And
Thursday,
let's,
Accommodating.
yeah, let's get it done soon,
Yeah.
very soon.
Thursday
Uh,
preferred?
Because there are a lot of
Yeah.
new, a lot of y'all are new and really don't
Thursday
know,
preferred, yeah.
and like I said, we could still learn.
And that's the point that you made, that I do understand. As much as I have a lot of years working for the city,
Yeah.
this is new
Sure.
to a lot of us. And we need to really take that into
That was why I
consideration.
told
You're
you.
right,
You
you're right.
needed to
Turn
start
over,
off
yeah,
and learn.
turn over.
And at the municipal association, they're always bringing up different court cases that
Absolutely.
impacts the city and the state, so there's a lot of things that change, and so there's always room for additional education.
Okay, all right, any other business to come forward about? Hearing none, meeting adjourned.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
are we gonna look at the letter?
Yeah, let's, yeah.